Welcome back, everyone. It is now February 7th of 2020, and ever since the release of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, a lot of fans have had many different issues with the sequel trilogy, especially with The Last Jedi and even Episode 9 at certain points in time in the film. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing that a lot of fans would happen to agree on is that Kathleen Kennedy really is not the right choice for president of Lucasfilm, and that her leadership skills really aren't all that impressive. And we've seen a great example of this with many different creative differences between the creatives and Kathleen Kennedy on many projects, like with Solo's Star Wars Story, Episode 9 with Colin Trevorrow, and even the new Star Wars trilogy with David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, and other projects out there alike. Now, when we look at Kathleen Kennedy, obviously we do know that changes are being made and that Disney is cleaning up house over at Lucasfilm. She no longer has creative control over many of the projects that are currently in the early development phase, and that Kathleen Kennedy will no longer have a say in the matter of how things should be done in these new projects for Disney Plus and these new Star Wars movies, you name it. Now, we do know that The Rise of Skywalker was a very tough production for Disney and Lucasfilm. There's no denying that. Kathleen Kennedy talked about this. JJ said this, Bob Iger, Mary Ann Brandon, Chris Terrio, and even some of the cast and crew said this. So, what's really intriguing all has to do with the changes and the adjustments that were made. Now, Disney and Lucasfilm are currently focused on the future of the Star Wars franchise after Episode 9, such as with their new Star Wars trilogy and their new Star Wars universe that will take fans into a brand new mythology. Now, it's explained that Episode 9 was a very tough production for Disney and that their reshoots and rewrites led to a series of deleted scenes for the film, where many of those scenes had to do with the return of Force ghosts such as Kenobi, Yoda, and even Anakin Skywalker, portrayed by Hayden Christensen. Now, it's noted that one of the major reasons as to why the Anakin scenes did not make the final cut of the film is that Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy completely disliked the Anakin scenes that were displayed in the film, along with other Force ghosts as well, that to her it was way too over the top for a Star Wars film, and that the Anakin scenes did not make the cut because Kathleen Kennedy had major creative differences with J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio for the Anakin scenes to be displayed in the final cut of the movie that were partially shot and also written in the original script before it was finalized. Now, it's explained that Kathleen Kennedy wanted to reduce Anakin to a disembodied voice in fear that fans would actually have an issue with the return of a prequel trilogy character that fans had issues with back in the 2000s, where the scenes were cancelled and deleted by Kathleen in early August when the major reshoots took place for the film, and that Kathleen Kennedy was the one who wanted to focus more on the characters like Rey, Finn, and Poe in the third and second acts of the film as opposed to the Skywalkers. Now, once again, guys, like I say, I think that this is another reason as to why Kathleen Kennedy was really not the right choice by, of course, George Lucas. In case you guys did not know, Kathleen Kennedy, was actually made as president of Lucasfilm because of George Lucas. So, one could, I guess, argue that in a way, George Lucas contributed to Kathleen Kennedy being involved with Star Wars and making such a mess. But at the end of the day, I don't think George really knew better. I don't think he really believed that Kathleen Kennedy would, kind of wreck elements of the franchise or not treat certain characters properly. So I don't blame George for that. I really don't. When we look at Kathleen Kennedy, however, she really did have an agenda with all these Star Wars movies. You look at The Rise of Skywalker, right? The final film of the Skywalker saga, and really it has little to nothing to do with the actual Skywalkers like Luke, Anakin, or Leia even. Leia was not really in the movie all that much, I would say, but the title in and on itself seemed like a way to draw in the fans, to really bring the fans into the theater seats, thinking that it would have something to do with Luke or Anakin. Meanwhile, it really had just to do with Rey. And I felt that it was a little unfair. In fact, I think it was very unfair by Disney and Lucasfilm. And Kathleen Kennedy being the contributor to the deletion of these Anakin scenes portrayed by Hayden Christensen that were partially filmed before they were actually, put to the wayside, before the reshoots. And I think that what they're trying to do, obviously, is that they were obviously trying to really kind of give fans a different tone of the movie. That was one of their main reasons as to why they did these reshoots, is that they wanted to change the overall feeling of Episode 9, exactly how it flowed and how it really resonates with the Star Wars community. And that really led to a big mistake. It really did. You know, given that there were a lot of ideas that were put to the wayside because of Kathleen Kennedy, the original cut of this movie, in case you guys did not know, stood around 4 hours and 20-something minutes long in length. That really is something, and that really makes you wonder exactly what could have been before all the changes and adjustments took place back in late 2019 when Kathleen Kennedy was making all these adjustments and such. So, thankfully, she no longer has creative control over the franchise, as you know, with the Star Wars movies and the TV shows, only the planning of them, and that's about it. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon.